Gonna find that king and find her out. Put my ball in the pocket and knock them all down. Gonna drink it up. Let's rock them up. Gonna drink it up. Let's clean them up. Get ready to bowl now. Strike out the day. Get ready to bowl. Strike out the day.
Yes, ladies and gentlemen, welcome again to the 33rd season of the Professional Bowlers Tour. We have come to Lakewood, California, in the Long Beach area for the finals of the $220,000 AC Delco Classic. I'm Chris Schenkel, and having felt an aftershock or two coming in on Thursday, I can tell you that looking at this map, we will show you the Los Angeles and the epicenter area of Northridge. We're about 50 miles away. First starting with damage, the Santa Monica Freeway, and then of course we'll eventually go to the Northridge area, and you'll see how homes were devastated, no place to live. So with the aftershocks, our heartfelt wishes are stronger for quick and long adequate relief for those that were affected by this devastation. So Bo, here in Lakewood, it's bowling again, and this is your 20th year.
You're right, Chris. Glad to be back with you and back on ABC for 14 weeks. And we have just an exciting field here today, but looking at the champions in the championship AC Delco Classic this year, many of the veterans look like they're in top shape as we start the season. They trained hard during December. They're ready to go here in January. And there's some newcomers in the field today, as evidenced by 4 of the players we see in the championship round. And finally, what we can look for in 1994 is increased scoring. Last year, we broke a PBA record, 210 perfect games on the tour. Walter Ray Williams Jr. set a new benchmark figure for the players at 222. So, Chris, there's exciting rounds today, an exciting 5-man field.
Certainly is, and here are the 5 finalists. Steve Wilson in the first match will meet a PBA champion named Justin Hromek. Steve against Hromek in the first, and the winner of that initial game will face Ken Muscato of Canandaigua, New York. Then we come to the semifinal game where we'll see 4-time winner Norm Duke of Oklahoma City. There he is, beard and all. Something new added to Norm. And our tournament leader is an amateur bowler and local favorite Robert Smith of Moore Park, California. So there you have it, our outstanding field of finalists for the start of ABC Television's 33rd season of the Professional Bowlers Tour, and a lot of money there.
You're right, Chris. Solid prize fund to start off the season. You see the first match will be worth the difference of $2,000 up to $44,000 for the first place this week. And we're ready for the opening shot, 1994 season, Steve Wilson and Justin Hromek.
There they are, the customary handshake. Steve Wilson is from Fort Lauderdale, Florida. He's an 8-time regional champion, first telecast nationally. A high hit, and Bo, he can test his split-making capabilities.
310 baby split to start the season off in the championship round. Steve struggled in the 42nd game last night. Nerves played a part of that. As you see this split, he's got to get the ball to the right of the 3-pin, hopefully deflect it into the 10 and start the season with a mark.
On the left lane, capacitor crowd watching. So it's an open for Steve Wilson, a 25-year-old from Florida. Now Justin Hromek, he's a 26-year-old from Andover, Kansas. One national title, as we indicated. Sign of things to come, Nelson?
Well, maybe a little bit, Chris. You have some inexperienced players out here, and they've started with some open frames, but Justin still has a chance to make this. As you look at his style, 5-step delivery, very strong upper body. He's steady head all the way through, and right now he needs to just drive that ball straight on through to the foul line. Sends it wide. He leaves the 2-4-10.
So, I'm going to count, as we have 2 open frames to begin our telecast here in Lakewood, California. The redhead will move to the left side.
players are playing somewhat of an outside line. Hromek will try to roll the ball between the first and second arrows, center position. He'll drift almost to the left side of the lane. Approach here, shot through here, keep the speed nice and firm.
This product of Wichita State University, playing on that great bowling team that became a national champion.
His ball sliding by the head pin, almost leaves the 2-4-10 once again. It's a good break. The 10 drops out. The 4 gets knocked off the sideboard. Has a much easier shot. The single pin, 2-pin. He can get the first mark of 1994.
And there it is. We start today in California. Next week we're in Las Vegas, followed by Grand Prairie, Texas, Edmond, Oklahoma. 14 stops in as many cities. Increased prize money, like here, a total of $220,000, 44 to the winner today. Okay, settling down beautifully, Steve Wilson, 5'9" right-hander.
Wilson, a muscle player, 5-step delivery, very quick with his feet, and he has that whipping action coming through the shot. He has a medium-high backswing, opens that hand up. Now watch as he comes through the strike zone. He whips the wrist around. When he gets on Chris Schenkel, he can throw a lot of strikes.
Okay. Anybody can win 8 regionals. Has to be a good player. So he's disappointed with that 6-10 leave here on the left line.
Watching Steve for the past 2 years develop out here on the tour, that's the one little chink he has in his armor, is pulling the ball left of target. He sent the first frame wide over here and got high and left to 310. Once again, he tries to force the ball up, doesn't give it enough room, has a cross lane spare. Keep the speed up, get a mark here, Steve.
Okay. Following what Bo's tip was. Speaking of that, Nelson will be back later in our live telecast from California with his tip of the week.
Be fun to do him again.
Mm-hmm.
Hromek with the full grip. Has that little piece of plastic or rubber gripper on his index finger for a little extra grip on the ball.
There you go. Justin Hromek. He's really in peak condition this season because he developed a special regimen.
Well, last year I wasn't quite as physically fit as I thought I should have been, and it cost me a few tournaments, so I started lifting weights, got my upper body in shape. I'm going to start jogging. I laid off this year with the practicing. I started bowling in league play a little bit, just about 3 games a week before I came out, so I'd be mentally fresh. And the physical part is coming around, and being mentally fresh is probably the best way for me to come out here and bowl.
All right. Starting so slowly and then coming on with a smile as a result of the double. We're in our first game, and we'll return to Cal Bowl after this. This is the Professional Bowlers Tour telecast from California. Steve Wilson back up on the lanes. The spare up shooting in the 4th. Pressing over and getting his second strike. Steve Wilson is in his first championship round appearance after only 2 years on the tour. Here's how he got started.
Well, I started in the juniors when I was pretty young and moved on up. I went to the men's league at age 16 and had some success there. And then I moved on to the regionals, and I had a lot of success in the regionals. And then I think I was beating myself my first year on tour. I had some trouble, and went back and worked on it, and here I am this week. I had a good week so far.
Well, Chris, he hasn't had a ball light in the pocket yet. He went high for the 310 the first frame, struck in the second, was high 610 the third, crossed over in the 4th, and once again he's creeping up on it. He leaves a 4-pin. If he had struck there, he'd have taken a 1-pin lead with a conversion. He'll trail Justin Hromek by 9 pins through 5.
Well, Steve, his best finish was 6th prior to this week. 1992 at the Choice Hotels event in Edmond, Oklahoma. Now, Justin Hromek. 2 regional titles and that 1 national title to his credit. Okay, that's stringing them now for Hromek, and it puts him out to a 19-10 lead.
Hromek rated number 33 on the PBA Tour on the computer rankings. A very disciplined player, and when he strikes, he can keep it going. He won his only title as a doubles title with the great Dick Weber as his partner, defeating myself and Bob Benoit.
No.
Yes, and Justin threw 7 strikes and 7 attempts against us. So when he gets it going, he knows how to win. He can open up a lead of 29 pins with a 4th consecutive strike here in the 6th.
High hit leaving the 3-6-10.
You can get away with 1 mistake sometimes when you're zeroed on the championship round, as you see his ball drifting a little bit high, leaving the 3-6-10. But he made 2 mistakes here. Raised up at the line and softened up with the speed, and has left himself a difficult cross-lane spare. We're going on synthetic lanes today. The ball has a tendency to slide across the center of the lane a little bit more on synthetics than it does on wood lanes.
Watch. Okay. Justin Hromek, a few credits shy of receiving his computer science degree at Wichita State. Let's look at his grip, Steve Wilson.
The full grip. Fingers into the first knuckle, tucks that pinky, extends that index finger, gets a solid grip, and then a great whip on the ball as it comes through.
As is often the case, Steve's parents, Ron and Jane, are league bowlers.
Steve trying to make some sort of adjustment for 5 consecutive high hits, whips the ball a little wide, almost leaves the 2-10 split. Gets a good break. The 6 knocks out the 10, has an easy spare, and he's kind of closing in on it. He's been high, light. He needs to get his game together the last 4 frames and press Hromek.
Quite a bowling establishment here, Nelson, where these young players have been competing this week. 68 total lanes. It's a wonderful facility.
Great for the bowlers. And right now, this is a key shot right now for Steve Wilson. Playing an outside line, much farther out than Hromek. Trying to drive the ball right through here. He hasn't come close on this lane to get back in the match. He must get a strike.
That will add to his maturity as a professional bowler on tour. Nearing the end of our first match, leading by 17 is Hromek. Justin Hromek, who is trying off the bowling ball, leading by 17 pins. Spare up, shooting in the 7th frame of our first match. He's bowling against Steve Wilson, looking for his first PBA national victory. Well,
an apparent good hit, but he's hooking the ball so much the ball does not deflect, and the 2 goes around the 4, the 6 around the 10. He has to remove that pin from the right-hand channel before he can shoot it. He needs to get the ball over here to the left of the 4, drive it into the 10. Hromek steps back off the approach. Chris, the situation is this. There's a pin lying in the channel right next to the 10 pin. If indeed he contacts that pin with either his ball, if he hits it with the ball or another pin, he gets 0 for that shot, no matter how many he knocks down. That's the PBA rule. So here's the situation. We have a little break in the action. Get this pin out of the channel, then go for the 410. If he converts, the odds on this are about 9-1 for a right-handed player. He would continue to lead by 15, 7th frame.
all-out try by Hromek. So we go to our guest on the approach commentator, the great Brian Voss, with an interview.
Ken, you decided to go on your own this year. Most guys have a sponsor. That takes a lot of guts.
Yeah, it's kind of guy I am. Just taking a gamble. It's a big risk, but it's like playing the stock exchange. You take risks, and my stock just went up.
It certainly did. You're off to a good start. What are your thoughts for today?
I prepared myself all my life for today. I feel great, and this tournament's mine.
Well, good luck to him.
All right, in this match, after an open frame and then leading by only 4, here comes Hromek striking in the 8th.
The game is now on. Steve Wilson, who hasn't even been close through the first 6 frames, throws a good shot in the 7th. With the open Hromek gave him in the 7th, he can take the lead for the first time in the match with a strike.
So now he leads by 6. Unbelievable. Next Saturday, you can see plenty of action as we all head to the desert. Bowling's high rollers aim to hit the jackpot in the PBA Tour from Las Vegas, live at a special earlier time, 1 Eastern and Pacific, 12 noon Central next week, here on ABC's Pro Bowlers Tour. And his first ever ABC Pro Bowlers Tour telecast, Steve Wilson, the 25-year-old from Fort Lauderdale, has the lead. 6 pins shooting in the 9th with a double up. Leads by 16, Bo.
Chris, he's made a remarkable comeback. He was just totally lost, probably a case of the nerves. Boy, I can sure remember my first telecast. It's hard to settle down, and he's really put the pressure on Justin Hromek, who can answer with a strike here in the 9th. This is his biggest shot of the match. Trails by 16. The match is up for grabs, but this is the big one. How disappointing. Just the old Billy Whaley saying, trust is a must, so your game is a bust. However, he trusted that way too wide as he misses maybe 4 or 5 boards to the right of target, and the ball just slips off into the moat. It's not over if he can convert the spare. He can still win the match. However, Chris, it's been a while since we've had a double gutter ball.
I don't recall it, ever. Let's see it again because...
Well, what happens on synthetic lanes, the front part of the lane has a high lubricity to it, and the ball, as he comes inside out, slides tremendously in the first 15 or 20 feet, never bites in the breaking point, which he wanted about 35, 36 feet down the lane, and so it slides off of the channel.
And then 2 misses and comes right back with the ball into the pocket, and down they went as Ken Muscato continues to warm up off to our right, and Steve Wilson, very comfortable lead, the result of his own skillful bowling, a 3-bagger, and bad breaks from this man, Hromek. So, Bo, I guess if you can put 2 in the gutter in a row, you can roll a double as well.
Well, it's disappointing for Justin. He's just a likable guy, strong and determined, and pretty stoic face on a man who threw away. Actually, if he strikes on that ball, Chris, he can bowl 222. He's only going to finish with a 172 with 1 more strike, so a 50-pin flip-flop in 1 frame. Hard to recover from, but Justin Hromek will be back.
$8,000 is the check he'll receive for his efforts here at Cal Bowl in Lakewood, California. And of course, for Steve Wilson, who will win it, he will move into the next match against Ken Muscato, Canandaigua, New York.
Needs just 1 pin. If he strikes out, it'd be a 228.
Okay, we have a winner, Hromek, with only 169. We'll have Wilson's, as we'll be right back with more of the AC Delco Classic after this message and a word from our ABC stations. Yes, we have returned to Southern California, Cal Bowl for the AC Delco Classic. Our first match has ended. It was different, but Steve Wilson came from behind to win 204 over Hromek's 169. And earlier at the beginning of our telecast, I talked briefly about the earthquake north of here, affecting so many people from all walks of life, and it affected members of the bowling community too. And these are people that traveled, but in this case, Eric Forkel was at home with his fiancée, as you'll see. You're looking at Eric Forkel. He's one of our many great bowlers, and they come from all parts of the country. Eric is the PBA national champion. He hails from Chatsworth, California, which is not far from Northridge. Yes, until Monday it was tranquil, peaceful, and a great place to live. Eric and his fiancée, Trish, sustained injuries.
Well, like I said, we were sound asleep, and all of a sudden you hear this loud noise, and all of a sudden the bed's just going up and down. And I knew it was an earthquake because we're here in California. And the first thing I tried to do was we tried to get out of bed, but everything was so pitch dark and everything was going up and down so fast. You're trying to get your bearings a little bit, and I didn't think to put any shoes on. So as we were trying to get out the door in the bedroom, I sliced my foot open.
Yes, there was major damage to his townhouse, as you'll see.
You can see all the cracks and everything, and I downstairs in the garage area, the foundation, the beams, I know they're split, so I would think they have to be replaced. I noticed the PBA National Trophy, the Eagle, which blew up into a million pieces. The kitchen is a mess. I mean, there's glass everywhere.
The garage is the scariest because that's our foundation, and seeing 2x4s cracked and...
Yeah, the beams had split. So, you think if that goes, I mean, this whole thing's going to go because it's basically a tri-level townhome.
When you lose your material possessions, you can take strength from inspirational words.
I would think under these circumstances, the poster probably has a really special meaning then. I mean, because we are okay. We did get through this. Got through it. I'm going to be a little disabled for a while, but we got through it, and that's the bottom line. So in that aspect, that's what that poster means to me. It's important.
Eric was more than willing to come here, but Carol Letty, Larry Cam, and all of us decided he should stay where he is at his mother's home in Van Nuys, California, and rest up. And Eric, we hope to see you in perhaps Edmond, Oklahoma, somewhere down the line soon.
He thinks he'll be back for the Choice Hotels Classic, and here's a new face, Kenny Muscato, lefty.
Canandaigua, New York's entry. 5'11", 170 pounds, 27 years old. He has one regional title to his credit, and like this man, first national telecast. But Steve has won a game. He defeated Justin Hromek, 204 to 169, his first shot.
Much more confident shot than we saw in the first few frames of his opening match. He keeps the ball down the line. He's not playing the big belly hook shot that Justin Hromek was trying to play and was actually his downfall as he had a double gutter in the 9th frame. So Wilson keeping it in play. One of the keys when lanes are very tough is not to cover many boards or hook it a lot so you get easier spares. The big hook ball is a high-risk, high-reward type shot on this type of condition.
Okay, and now Steve will move over to the left lane. This is our second match. The winner will meet Norm Duke with 4 titles. And then in the championship match, the winner of the semifinal game will go against a national amateur champion named Robert Smith of Moore Park, California. Steve took a lot of time, Bo, in preparation for that shot.
Settle down, Chris. Very observant. And he kept the ball on line. As you watch it go down the lane, he kept the ball almost straight for 40 feet, lets it break the last 15 or so inches into the 1-3 pocket. Unfortunately, gets the solid 10. Once again, you have to guard against sliding by the cross-lane shot on these synthetic lanes. Very slick in the center.
All right, now Ken Muscato. Ken led the opening round of last year's Bowling Proprietors United States Open in his hometown of Canandaigua, New York, and eventually finished 19th.
Muscato, a full grip, spreads both fingers for support, stays underneath the ball, keeps it on line.
Okay. Demonstrative, energetic, and Muscato.
Just a nice, solid delivery. Starts with that 5-step delivery. Takes the ball a little bit outside the line. He's in this area, and then he tries to bring it back inside the line slightly. A type of shot that favors the outside line he's playing, or not the big hook ball. When lanes hook a lot, Ken can struggle a little bit. But today, the bearings are very slick. Much different angle of his opponent. He's playing extreme outside line. He'll be almost straight down the first arrow.
Defending champion of the AC Delco Classic, Ron Williams, winning it at Gable House last year, finished 42nd this week here at the Cal Bowl.
Change balls for spares, just using a little harder balls so it can slide it all the way into the pin. Remember, all what you need is accuracy on spares. You don't need much power. Just touch them and they'll fall down.
Mark Williams, Ron's opponent, finished 45th. Gary Dickinson, 41st. Randy Peterson, 38th. John Handegard, 37th. Marshall Holman, 36th. Some of the names were down the list.
And some of the senior players acquitted themselves well in this tournament, including Gary Dickinson, the Senior Player of the Year.
PBA Player of the Year, Walter Ray Williams Jr., finished 25th.
Wilson doing all right here. He's settled down. He's keeping his swing in line with target. You see the ball just slightly outside the first arrow, drifting out to approximately 3 inches from the right-hand channel, not really flirting with it, as we saw Hromek belling the ball out to that zone, and leaves himself an easy spare. You don't want to get attacking too high.
Coming up next on ABC's Wide World of Sports, skating stars Paul Wiley and Brian Osser meet in the men's competition from the Durasoft Colors World Challenge of Champions, plus live coverage of the World Cup Speed Skating Championships featuring Olympians Bonnie Blair and Dan Jansen. That's all coming up next, right here, ABC Sports. Wilson now has picked up a lot of fans here at Cal Bowl. You'll see more of it after this. Bowling next week. Here's a pal of mine that uses my initials on all his stationery. Carroll Shelby, that great racing legend. And you know, it's going on 4 years. This man had a heart transplant. And he is going around the world now raising money for youngsters' heart transplants. And he always says that you should become a donor, and the only way a donor's message gets through is by indicating it on your driver's license. Bo, that's why he's alive today.
I'll be. Good information, Chris. And I just remember, like, Spring Little Cobra. Love that song. Now, Muscato, fourth frame, leads by 11.
Okay, let's go to a young legend on the bowling tour, Brian Voss. Here he is.
I'm standing here with the Duke Meister. Norm, buddy, you've been on a roll this winter. So far, it's the first tournament, but what's going on out there?
Well, I'm in dead stroke. I feel like I can just pick up any ball and go down there and throw a strike with it. And, you know, you're just on one of those rolls. You've been there. I've watched it many times, and I'm loving life.
Well, it's fun to watch. I got to say, that beard's very becoming.
We'll get used to it because it's going to be here a while.
All right, it became legal in May. That is on the PBA Tour, Bo. Okay.
Well, Ken Muscato, after getting a terrific break in the fourth frame, lets it get away from him here in the fifth, and he leaves an unusual washout. The ball sliding by the left side of the head pin, striking the 2-4 zone. He's left the 1-3, 7-10. Need to get the ball to the right of the head pin, drive the 3 into the 7, the 3 into the 10, and the 1 into the 7. Yeah!
There's another beard.
An unpromising shot, and he makes the best of it. That is pretty.
And now Steve Wilson strike up, shooting the 5th frame. Now he trails by only 1. All right.
Just see it in his demeanor, the look in his eye. Much more confident. Threw just an excellent shot there. His best shot of the 1.5 games he's bowled in the championship round so far. Faces do tell the story. There's a little mystery in those eyes. Very cold, little confidence in this young man's, but he trails by 1, can take the lead here in the 6th with 1 more strike. I think that he slipped a little bit, Chris, in his pivot step. His second to last step, synthetic approaches, if there's any problem the players complain about, is a little, not quite enough traction. In fact, speaking with Norm Duke earlier before we went on air, he says, wouldn't it be ideal if we could have synthetic lanes and wood approaches? And I have to agree with him.
Mm-hmm.
Now to retain, or to remain trailing by 3 pins, the 6-10.
Good job. He's satisfied with that frame.
Okay, as this replay will illustrate, you'll see him slip in his pivot step. Right here, his 4th step, he doesn't quite kick off enough, and so he doesn't project the ball down the lane. It runs high, causing the 6-10 spare, which he converted. Varying speeds. You got to keep the ball speed up, especially under pressure. I think if there's 2 things a young man or any pro has to think about, is keep your arm close to your body so you keep the direction, keep the ball speed up so it doesn't drift on the lane.
Bo, like you, Ken's inspiration came from his father. His dad's a good bowler, averages about 210. He has a brother Don that's 200 bowler.
Always helps to come from a bowling family.
Mm-hmm. And how are they back in St. Louis, your parents?
My parents are doing well. June and Nelson Burton, great parents.
Some pretty great offsprings.
Thank you. 2-pin difference, 7th frame.
Stubborn 3.
Give Muscato credit through 7 frames. He hasn't beaten himself to this point. If he makes the spare, he will lead by 1 pin with the critical 3 frames left.
Drove a cement mixer truck prior to coming out on shore. Now he's doing well, as you can see. We'll be back. Robert Smith is a national amateur champion, and he is our tournament leader on the Professional Bowlers Tour. A wonderful young bowler, Nelson.
Yes, he is, Chris. Something to watch. He's exciting, confident, and he's gotten the respect of the pros in his very first week of the 1994 season. Now as we come up in the 7th frame, Steve Wilson, who has 1 victory under his belt, 4 spares, 2 strikes this match, trails by 1. Let's see if he can cut into that lead of another rookie out here making his first championship round, Ken Muscato.
Mm-hmm. Second crossover strike of the afternoon for Steve.
Well, that's when it's going your way. If you miss far enough, you cross over and you get rewarded. He's had 2 crossover strikes. Let's see if he can make the most of it. I think one of the great reasons that Dick Weber was such a tremendous champion, when he got a good break, he jumped right on top of it. And a lesson from him can be learned by Steve Wilson right now, if he could capitalize and take the lead, 8th frame.
Well, Bo, instead we get another situation here.
Well, fast feet and a errant shot to the right. A little too quick with his feet, kind of adjusting to that high shot he had in the previous frame on the left-hand lane. Now he's got a situation where he has to get the ball to the left of the head pin, just to the edge of the lane. He has about 1 inch left. However, it doesn't get far enough back to the head pin. Now he has to get the ball left of the head pin, drive 1 into the 10. Big mistake.
Big. Patty Connor and Mike Connor, you see in the shot often, commissioner of the PBA there. And this is a very serious Ken Muscato, leading by 17 now, shooting the 8th to spare up. So it's a 4-7.
The key on low scoring or more of match play lane conditions, as we find here today at Cal Bowl, is to avoid the open frames. So far, Muscato has done that with some good strike shots and excellent spare making, and he has to keep in that form as he finishes this game. All right, come on.
You just joined us. Our first match was won by Steve Wilson over Justin Hromek, 204 to 169.
Wilson still confident. Muscato a little apprehensive. Why we're seeing so many washouts today, where a ball seems to apparently only miss the target by maybe a half inch to the left or right, depending whether it's a left-hander or right-hander, as we evidenced in this replay, is that synthetic lane surfaces, when you hit the oil, that's the first 36 feet as the PBA has prepared them today, it hydroplanes if you don't catch the lift and slides by the head.
Oh, how prevalent are synthetic lanes in the country?
Chris, when we first started doing these telecasts together 20 years ago, I don't think we ever bowled on synthetics. No. And then last year, I would say about 33% of the lane conditions were synthetic, so you must make the adjustment. One pin difference, 9th frame.
Strike. So that changes the complexion of this match.
Ooh. Head pin to the sideboard, drives the 2 into the 4, 4 into the 9. What a terrific break at such an opportune time. And right now, for Steve Wilson, he can close out the match with 2 more strikes. A possible 210. If he doesn't strike, Muscato can win. That 1-pin lead that he had going into the 9th is really the big point right now, Chris. However, if he gets 9 spare, it sets up a situation where we could have a 199 tie, a strike here. It's lock city for Steve Wilson.
There it is. Disappointed. A little bewildered, too, is that fine young bowler in Ken Muscato. This week's Choice Hotels Tip of the Week features fire bowler Ron Winger, an old friend of Nelson Burton Jr.'s.
ABC Sports presents a winning never gets old bowling tip. Brought to you by Quality, Comfort, Clarion, and Sleep Hotels.
As an older bowler watching the young stars on the PBA Tour crank it up with all that power, you may be wondering how you can generate that type of power in your bowling game. Well, with me is a cranker of the past, Ron Winger, who's a PBA champion, and Ron can still crank it up with the best of them today. Ron, how do you do it?
Well, Bo, I still have that power position wrist action with my thumb up in the cup position. However, when I release the ball now, it's more of a stroke, not a hit.
All right. Let's take a look at it, Ron. First place, Ron sets up with the knees flexed. The key is the good push away, and notice how his wrist is still cupped underneath the ball, stays straight underneath it, gets the heavy roll, the 6 kicks out to 10. And Ron, here's your release in slow motion. Let's take a look at it.
All right, notice the nice deep knee bend. However, the thumb is straight up, lifting through the ball, out on the lane, and more of a stroking action, not that hitting action like those young kids today. So
all right.
That's why I'm still around.
Good enough, Ron. Here's a tip from Ron Winger. If you want to be a cranker today, keep your hand underneath the bowling ball, lift up through it with a solid release, play the lanes properly. And remember, winning never gets old.
Two matches over, 2 to go. Wilson winning the first with 5 strikes, 204 to 169, and then coming on late to defeat Ken Muscato, 210, 187 with 7 strikes.
And Chris, it's been exciting so far. We had a 183-man field in our opening telecast this year. Average game just 199, scoring down. Maybe the guys aren't practicing enough, but I'm sure that'll pick up in future weeks. And let's look at the top 24. Parker Bowman, 6, shockingly missed 3 spares in the 42nd game to open the door for Steve Wilson to jump in. Wayne Webb donating $130 to the Children's Miracle Network. He donates $1 for every strike when he makes the top 24. David Ozio bowled with a broken finger this week and still acquitted himself well. Rounding out the top 24, a new guy, Brian Himmler. Chris, we're ready for the semifinal match, and the action will pick up the experienced player in the field.
Right, and next week we'll be in Las Vegas for the $200,000 PBA event. And the week after, Quaker State Open back to Unihalsey in Grand Prairie, Texas. Today we're at Cal Bowl in Lakewood, California. In the Long Beach area, bowling out of Oklahoma City is the Texan who just took the seat, Norm Duke, 4 titles. Here's a man looking for his first, but he has 2 wins today. Steve Wilson shooting first.
Hard to pick a favorite in the first 2 matches. Steve Wilson eking out both victories. However, he has to be considered the underdog against Norm Duke in this match. Here we go, semifinal.
And the fans here have sort of adopted Steve with that choir boy look. You know, they adore him. Here he is. Shouting Duke, 5'5", 123 pounds, 29 years old. 31st telecast.
Just an ideal style. Look at the eyes set, the head set, an arm swing that anybody can live with. Everything in perfect position as he drives through with that pivot step slightly open, rolls the wrist under the ball, not around it, dead up through the shot. Duke starts with a perfect frame.
Beautiful double to get started. Experience showing Norm Duke.
See how Wilson responds to this opening double by Duke. Unique pin action, leaving the 7-10. It looked like the head pin went to the sideboard and tripped out the 2. He had the 2-7-10 at one time. He's quickly on the approach. He'll try to bounce the 10 out, knock over the 7. Unfortunately, a bad break, second frame.
But he has come back before in his 2 victories, 5 strikes in the first win and then 7 in the second. And he's against Norm Duke here in the semifinal match. His wife Karen back in Oklahoma City, suffering from the flu. First strike coming in 3rd frame, semifinal game, Steve Wilson.
Versatility, the key to being a great player on the PBA Tour. As you look at the grip of Norm Duke, a stretched fingertip grip, and this man is versatile.
3 in a row.
Well, he has all the shots. He's matured. He's 29 years old. I don't think anybody has any more confidence than this man out there on the tour, and I think this is going to be the year of the Duke. He's really matured out here. He was number 1 in average in 1991, number 6 in average last year. As you see his position on the approach, playing much different than the other players. Straight approach. He's going to try a shot between the 2nd and 3rd arrows, the big hook.
American Bowling Congress Masters champion. Won $140,000 last year, winning from all kinds of positions, from 3rd, from 5th, from the top seed and from second, where he's bowling from today. Norm Duke, bowling out of Oklahoma City, in the lead by 42. We'll be back. His 1-2 punch. Number one being Professional Bowlers Tour and then Wide World right now. Steve Wilson has a strike up in the third, shooting the fourth of the semifinal game. Needed that strike, leaving it 3-6-10.
Critiquing Steve Wilson's game, the only thing I can really look at, Chris, here is that if he can keep his swing a little tighter and not get quite as much head movement as he whips through that ball. He pulls his head slightly off his target a few shots. He's gone high on almost every one.
Okay, once again, on the approach, our guest interviewer, Brian Voss.
Robert, you have this air about you that the guys have been commenting. You seem to fear nothing. Is that the way it is?
Yeah, right now I fear no one right now. I feel pretty confident coming out here and bowling against these guys.
What's this going to do for your career if you win?
Immediately, I guess it'll make me a little more popular. But as far as Team USA and amateur stuff, I'm not gonna give that up right now, at least for this year.
Good luck to you.
Team USA, meaning, of course, United States Olympic-type bowling. And he's a member of that team, and it's coming on strong. Who knows? Maybe it'll be in the Atlanta Olympic Games. Bowling, that is. Well, making his spare, 2 frames, 3-6-10. How much consolation? Because this man has 4 in a row.
Using the full approach, 7.5 step, shuttle step. Norm Duke.
Tonight on the ABC Family movie, Haley Mills stars in the Disney classic, The Parent Trap. Special treat for the whole family at 8, 7 Central Time, followed by an all-new commish. That's all tonight here on ABC.
Norm Duke perfect through 5, working his opponent. He has a lead. He's bowling as quickly as he can to kind of keep his opponent off balance.
Spring ended at 5. Remember, this year again, should you be able to bowl 12 in a row or a perfect game, True Value Hardware Stores will present a check for $100,000.
And he deserves something better than a 9 count on that shot. Right solid in the hole. And an easy spare.
Oh, do you have a pick in the 2 NFL games tomorrow?
Well, I went to the guru for Heroes at the Pro Bowlers Tour, All-American Tom Gatewood. He likes both the Bills and the Cowboys. Right now, this guy would do anything to get going. He trails by 54 pins. He has a potential 235, but he must start stringing strikes.
Okay, that is pretty.
Be interesting to see what happens here, Chris. Let's give Wilson a strike here in the 7th. Duke finally looked at the scoreboard to see how much he was ahead. And will he become protective if Wilson strikes on this shot? A 54-pin lead is not insurmountable, especially on synthetic lanes, powerful bowling balls, and 4 frames.
Double. The lead is 50-44. We'll be back. Somewhat cross lane for the 7-pin in the 8th frame. Steve Wilson marks with a spare, but while we're away, Norm Duke doubled, striking in the 7th and 8th frames. His lead to 55 now in the semifinal match. Winner will go against the national amateur champion, Robert Smith.
Possible 214 if he strikes out. His opponent, Duke, going at a 249 pace so far.
All right. Coming up next Saturday here on ABC Sports, 4 of the greatest names in golf come together for one of the sport's most entertaining events. Jack Nicklaus, Arnold Palmer, Ray Floyd, and Lee Trevino tee off in the senior skins game. Coverage from beautiful Maunalani, Hawaii, begins next Saturday right here on ABC. And we have an early starting time next week in Las Vegas, Bo.
Yes, we do. We're back on 2 hours earlier. It'll be 1 o'clock Eastern, 12 Central. And Norm Duke finished the 42nd game last night against his next opponent, the amateur Robert Smith, with 279, and he has a potential 279 this game.
Okay, hot Norm Duke rolling on, and we'll be right back with more of the AC Delco Classic after this message and a word from our ABC station. All right, here's a recap of what's happened thus far as we wait the start of the championship game. Steve Wilson defeated Ken Muscato in the second game, 210 to 187. Then moving into match 3 after Wilson had won the first 2 was Norm Duke that came on, and Duke defeated Wilson. He had 10 strikes, shooting at 276 to Wilson's 213. And now it's the championship match, a national amateur champion, Bob Smith, going against Norm Duke. You know, Bo and I have a wonderful invitation for you. That's right. The PBA and ABC have a new feature called Bowling Bets. What we want all of our viewers to do is send us your video on bowling, something humorous, funny, or even amazing, Bo.
Well, or anything else, Chris. You know, we have some interesting videos coming in, and it'll be fun. And the video that we use, they'll get a PBA sweatshirt and a video courtesy of the PBA.
Okay, and of course, here we go is the bowling video is our address, and it's Ansonia Station, Post Office Box 1800, New York, New York, the zip 10023-1800. So to get the perfect game video and a sweatshirt, if your video is judged tops for that week, Bowling Bets. Go ahead, send them in. We have impartial judges. We will not return your videos, however. They will become the property of ABC Sports.
All right, a young man who has been just unflappable for 4 days here on the PBA Tour, amateur Robert Smith, tournament leader.
And the 20-year-older left of 4-pin, 6-footer, 190, cool dude, and a national amateur champion, and he is so proud of being a member, and it's hard to become a member of Team USA Bowling.
Using PBA vernacular, he leaves nothing in the bag. He gets it all on that first shot. Powerful ball.
He owns 15 sanctioned 300 games. He heads for Colorado Springs, the U.S. Olympic Training Center, tomorrow. Here's Norm Duke. His 11th strike of the afternoon, 10 in the first match.
Well, Duke's so versatile. He can go straight as anybody out here in the tour. He can play in and out. He can throw hard. He can throw slow. Today, he's opted for the big hook, sending it wide with medium speed. Look at that stat. He's been pretty equal on both lanes.
Beautiful stroking here by Norm Duke. Robert Smith from Moore Park, California, naturally would be a very big local favorite. He led the last 2 rounds as 20-year-old. Just didn't come up, though.
Actually, I think he made a pretty good shot, Chris. He hasn't gotten the right line on this lane. As you look at his profile, this is one you're going to see again. This young man has a lot of talent, 5-step delivery. All the way through, he rips right on the ball, but he leaves the 2-4. Oh, look at this shot. The 2-4, 8-10. It almost bounces a 2 into the 10 and back to the 8. That would have been an unusual conversion.
Now, Bo, we indicated he's a national amateur champion. Should he be able to win this match, the $44,000, does he keep it?
Well, he can keep the money, Chris, if he wins a PBA title, but he cannot bowl again in a PBA event in his lifetime unless he gives up his amateur status and becomes a member of the Pro Association.
Still no big break.
Just to kind of close that out, Chris, we allow amateurs to play 2 PBA tournaments a year in which they cash. After that, they cannot play again until the following year or become a PBA member. Now, as far as his amateur status with Team USA, it's a qualifying around the country for the top 6 amateurs to represent the United States in international competition for 1 year.
And, of course, his big goal is to become a PBA member. And they're the parents, and like cases we cited before, they're the people that get their youngsters started on the lanes. And they have some product there, like Norm Duke. Also, protects it. 3 in a row. Oh, he's a machine.
Well, Duke number 1 in average, 1991 at 218. That particular year, he averaged 232 in league, and that's probably the difference, I think, Chris, because I bowled both league and the PBA Tour in average for most players. You find that you're about 15 pins higher on house conditions than the PBA Tour if players want to draw up a router.
Norm Duke stringing them 4 in a row. Championship match. We'll be back. Here's a name to remember. Jeremy Williams from Long Beach, California, an undefeated heavyweight contender. WBC Continental America's title. He was twice World Amateur Boxing Champion. His professional record is this: 14 wins, no losses, 11 wins by knockouts. In his first 5 fights, he only went 7 rounds total. He fights March 12th on ABC's Live World of Sports. He's fighting back, but Duke has gotten out to 4 in a row, but that strike coming for Robert Smith in the 4th.
The heavyweight among our 5 finalists today, tournament leader Robert Smith. Look at his position on the line. To the extreme left. He's even going to drift a little bit left and start the ball between the 2nd and 3rd arrows with just tremendous wrist action, great inside-out swing.
Years old. Amazing. Streak ending after 4. And it's the 4-pin that broke it.
Norm Duke drifting a little bit high on the right-hand lane. Head pin drives the 2-pin to the sideboard. The 2-pin gets between the 4 and 7s, takes out the 7. However, an easy spare of the 4 remains.
Just got it.
When Norm Duke won the 1993 Masters champion, he defeated another amateur, Patrick Allen. Just massacred him, 258 to 212, and here's another amateur who says he's going to remain so through the 1994 season, represent the United States, and then turn pro.
His 15th strike this afternoon, Norm Duke.
As you see our tournament leader, Robert Smith, step on the approach. Good setup. I like that left foot slightly in front of the right, weight on the back foot, rock to the front. That sets up the timing. Good inside-out delivery.
His mother and father, Jim and Mary Smith, along with hometown fans, are rooting him on. He's Here you see what happened last year. Congratulations to Walter Ray Williams Jr. Won it all. PBA Player of the Year, the Writers Player of the Year, and a lot of money. There.
Walter Ray setting a new standard, 222, but the scoring was up across the board. Ferraro at 218. Now, a big shot for Robert Smith. He's still in the match.
He has 4 in a row. A 6-footer, 190, 20 years old. The only amateur in the AC Delco field, and he got there, gained the spot by beating 60 others in a win spot sweeper tournament last week. Norm Duke won't back off. He'll be there, Bo.
I'll tell you what, Chris, Norm Duke, he didn't show much emotion, but he just got away with one. He sent it wide. He was hoping for anything to happen, and he got the best break he could. He just nicked the head pin, got the wall shot off the sideboard, and didn't show any emotion. Let's see what he does here. Can he keep the pressure on Robert Smith, who can just seems like he can do it all?
After opening with 4, marking with a spare, Norm Duke has 3 in a row and leads by 34, but now it's up to Robert Smith.
Duke uses his power, just saws the 5 out. The 2 drives into the 4 back into the 7, and a poised young Robert Smith up in the 8th frame. Trails by 34, but he can still win it all.
Oh, I'm impressed.
I am too, Chris. Before we went on the air, our guest announcer, Brian Voss, I spoke with him about this young man and even Norm Duke, and they both said he is the best amateur they've ever seen, and he's proven it to me and everybody else right here, win or lose. He can still win the tournament, only trails by 24. He can squeeze Duke with this strike.
Again, those 4 pins, Nelson. Gotta trip those 4s.
Boy, oh boy, that was an awfully good shot. He was just a little quick, a little anxious with it, and he doesn't get the good break off the sideboard. He still has a potential 234 game. The match is not over.
This is for the championship, $44,000 of the winner, the runner-up, $22,005.
This could be the knockout blow. A strike here, Duke will win it. Same thing, heavy on the fingers, wanted it so badly that he just jumped on the ball and got a little bit out of his rhythm, leaves the 4.
I know back in Detroit, the manager of advertising and marketing for AC Delco, our old friend Brent Snelson, is enjoying this near perfection we're having here in the championship game.
The number 2 computer-ranked player on the PBA Tour, Walter Ray Williams, number 1.
The spare in the 9th, 24 pins.
Right now, Norm Duke, looking the sideboard, needs 9 pins to lock up the AC Delco Championship.
1-4 last year.
He asked 8 on the first ball to win. Not true. 8 and a miss them both. It's a potential tie. 9's the only lock.
Won the Masters in addition to the 4, and in the Masters, $43,600. Now today, 44. And you must congratulate Robert Smith. Not since Jack Nicklaus was an amateur golfer have I seen anything so impressive from an amateur. Really.
I agree, Chris. The irony of all this, Duke can shoot 258 for the 2nd time to defeat an amateur. He's not going to do it. It's going to be a 247. Duke's got it locked. Robert Smith can finish out with a 234. Awfully good.
Norm Duke finishing out here. 247 to go with a 276. Woo!